Hollywood actors tend to give a lot of very interesting fitness advice, particularly when it comes to losing weight and building muscle. We've all seen those classic clips of, how did you get in crazy shape? The Rock. And he just says, oh, I ate chicken, broccoli, and rice. And you just think, that's fucking bullshit, mate. Today we're going to be reacting to some of that advice, telling you what's good to follow, what's bad to follow, and when they've just used a little bit of Hollywood juice and they're trying to get us to pretend they haven't. You gotta forgive the location today. I'm in my gym, I own a gym. And last time I filmed a video here, I had my back to the door and I couldn't see people signing up. So today, we're facing the door. So if I get up and leave, it's only because I'm busy, I'm trying to sign people up. Without further ado, let's hit it.
I've never particularly been asked to do transformations, but you know, you just get it in your head and you just go, I need to. That's what I need to do.
For about 3 months, we trained in Boston.
Already off to a good start. Christian Bale, known for having these insane transformations. He goes from super skinny, borderline anorexic, gonna die, to jacked, Batman, does really well. And he's right. You know, once you get it in your head, this is what I have to do, then you're gonna do it. I think the reason a lot of actors are able to do it, and well, there's a lot of supporting reasons why they can do it, but the fundamental reason why an actor can get in shape and a regular person can't is because that actor's livelihood depends upon them getting that role. And they only get the role if they're in shape for the role. Let's look at the next clip coming up is Captain America. Would he have got that role if he didn't get in shape? No. So his livelihood depended on making a change. That's why when people struggle with motivation, they don't know how to get started, I always recommend them to develop a really crystal clear vision as to why they want to get in shape. You need a strong why, because when motivation fails, discipline takes over if you have a strong why.
And it was a couple hours a day, and it was brutal. The tricky part was eating.
You have to eat lots?
Just eating everything all the time.
That sounds awful.
See, you'd think it sounds nice, but it's not just like cheeseburgers. I mean, you have to eat like these just bland, naked pieces of chicken and rice, and it's not that appetizing.
Right.
And you just...
He is right there. A lot of people think when you're what we call a hard gainer, or you start out really skinny, it's the dream, right? You have to eat so much food. Sounds great to the average person. But in reality, because you're eating a lot of clean food, it's very filling and it really weighs on you. To give you some perspective, I started off super skinny. Let's hope I can find a photo, others are pointed to nothing. I started off super skinny. At that point, I had to eat about 8 meals a day. So every couple of hours, I'm force feeding myself food. And the thing with that is, when you're eating clean, and I was young at the time, right? I couldn't cook well. I didn't know how to make that food taste nice. So I was eating bone dry chicken, plain tuna. That's not appetizing for 8 meals a day, but that is often what it takes if you're super skinny.
You're just so full. It's a pretty uncomfortable feeling.
Eating is the key. 70% is eating. It's about 4,000 calories a day.
He says 70% is eating. I always say about 80% is eating, just to really get it through people's brains that you can bust your ass in the gym all day long. But if your diet's not on point, you're not gonna get the results you want, especially because a lot of their physiques, the Hollywood physiques, relies a lot on leanness, right? Leanness. And you can't really accomplish leanness by training. Yes, you can train your abs. Yes, you can do cardio. But the most effective way to lose weight, and therefore lose that fat around your midsection, is to control your diet. So when he says 70% diet, he's right. I often inflate that number to 80% diet. You can kind of fuck around with the training as long as your diet is on point. But you can't fuck around with your diet if your training's on point. The two don't balance up that well.
Maybe 4.5 as I'm bulking up, and then it drops down, as I'm leaning up, it drops down to about 3,500 calories. Not the fun calories. This is the...
Interesting, so when he's leaning down, he's on 3,000 to 3,500 calories. That seems quite high for someone of his age and his body weight. That seems almost suspiciously high, if you ask me. To get as lean as Hugh Jackman is, and I think he's in the Wolverine role here, you've got to be pretty damn lean. Your calories are going to be pretty, like, a lot lower than that, I would have thought. Typical cutting calories for someone of his body type would probably be around 2,500, maybe, to get as lean as he gets. So that's interesting.
This is the chicken, fish, maybe steak, always protein, 6 times a day. Protein, steamed vegetables, and occasionally some brown rice or something like that.
It's honestly that simple, right? A protein source, veggie source, and some carbs. Typically the carbs they'll just put around the workout. That's how I would prescribe it to clients. If you're trying to get super lean, you only really need carbs around the workout. I try and fit carbs where I can because it helps a lot with mental clarity and people feeling better if they have carbs throughout the day. But if you're trying to get super lean, you can restrict carbs just either side of the workout. And like he says, protein as regularly as possible. The science is a little bit mixed on this in terms of meal frequency. It has a small effect on overall muscle growth, but not a make or break effect, right? Having 6 meals versus 5 is gonna be such a minuscule difference. But having 1 meal a day versus 5, bit more of a difference there.
protein shakes, and just like that. No alcohol, no sugar.
No alcohol, fucking A, no alcohol.
Pretty much nothing that's fun.
Alcohol works in direct contradiction to what you're trying to achieve if you're trying to get in shape. It prevents protein synthesis, and it's empty calories, and it makes you feel like shit, and it disrupts your sleep. That's 4 reasons not to drink alcohol. I'm not saying you need to eliminate it forever, but if you're serious about a fitness goal, removing alcohol temporarily is gonna help you speed up that progress so much. Probably the #1 difficulty my clients have is staying tight on the weekend in terms of both food, but also alcohol. A lot of people like to celebrate on the weekend, right? They have a job, let's say a corporate job. Part of the corporate culture is that on Fridays you have work drinks. If you're trying to get in shape, it's very hard to make yourself that guy that's not drinking, right? Without bringing down the buzz of the whole mood. How do I manage it? I'll have 1 or 2 drinks, keep things to a real minimum if I have to drink, otherwise I just won't drink, or I'll excuse myself slightly early. I find with social events, if you're trying to avoid the drinking element of it, you only really need to be there for the first hour or 2. After that, everyone's intoxicated, they don't even remember who was there. So if that's gonna be an issue for you, best to remove yourself from that situation.
Nothing that's fun.
Okay, did you start to psychologically lose it?
What you eat is what you is.
Believe it or not, the hardest part was physically eating that amount of food. I had to put on about 17 pounds. It was crazy. I mean, aside from the training, which was literally, it consumed my life.
Interesting, so Zac Efron typically had quite an ideal Hollywood physique, right? I think this is for Baywatch. That's where he had that crazy transformation and that I think has since been proven it was using PEDs. I'd be very surprised if he claims it wasn't using PEDs, because if you show what he looked like in Baywatch, give myself a bunch of editing to do, but what he looked like in Baywatch, he's too lean, right? He's too lean, he's got too much muscle. He's like stage ready and he's not a bodybuilder. He built that physique in a matter of months, I believe, and he said he put on 17 pounds. And at 17 pounds, but also he got super lean. So, like he says, yeah, the hard thing is eating, but also he had a little bit of assistance there. Plus he was hanging around The Rock, right? What's The Rock gonna say? Oh yeah, mate, it's all natural. Actually, that probably is what The Rock would say.
For a while. Very intense, a lot of heavy lifting. I won't get into that, that's boring. The hardest part was eating, you know? You just have to eat a ton of calories. And it was all hard calories. It was a lot of chicken breast. I was eating so much chicken breast that the hardest part about it was actually chewing it all. So I would just put it into a blender, blend it all up, and just drink chicken. Isn't that gross?
What's your diet like?
People laugh, but when you're eating 5-6 meals a day and your chicken is bland, and when you're trying to get as stupidly lean as he was, you're probably not gonna have sauce, right? Sauce has calories. These days, there are 0 calorie and 0 sugar sauces, but maybe back then there weren't. Chicken gets dry. It gets hard just constantly chewing through it. It's exhausting. So I do empathize with them here. The audience laugh, but they've not been a bodybuilder. Nor have I. I'm just saying that's what bodybuilders do.
Like, if you get up at 3 in the morning, what are you eating?
Egg whites, Ezekiel bread, almond butter, and then I'll work out. Then I'll have yogurt and a Greek yogurt and shake, and then I'll have a chicken cooking. Then I'll eat a rotisserie chicken. Then I'll eat turkey burgers. Then I'll eat a fish. I eat probably 7 or 8 meals a day, every 2.5 hours.
Because when you go on the diet of Superman, what does Superman eat?
He eats a lot of things.
Well, name one.
I mean, okay, it depends. If I'm mass building, then I'll eat burgers and stuff.
Mass building.
Yeah.
See, that's
if
where
I'm doing my mass
we're different people. Yeah, this is fantastic. Mass building, that's what they call it, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to get your arms bigger, so
exactly.
your chest. Yeah, that's cool.
But then when you...
Okay, so he's called it mass building. Basically, he means bulking. It's interesting he says he eats burgers and stuff. I find it hard to believe that Henry Cavill with a Superman physique is eating burgers, even in his off season. Again, possibly there's some chemical assistance, but he has a crazy physique, right? And I think his level of physique, if I can remember correctly, I'll pop up a photo, I could be completely wrong here and I've remembered wrong, but I feel like he has a naturally achievable physique for someone that trains for many, many years. I don't think he's got a crazy physique. So yeah, maybe he does eat burgers and then just dials it back for the shoot day. I remember I've seen an interview with him, not in this video, but in one of the videos where he talks about any of the shirtless scenes in Superman, they train specifically for that scene and then he lets his diet go. So he'll literally train like a bodybuilder up to that scene, dehydrate, load up with carbs, get that shirtless scene, and then go back to normal. When you're controlling your diet and leaning down and bulking up and being that precise with it, you can create the illusion of someone being in really, really crazy shape just for a scene, and then maybe touching it up with CGI to make someone look like Superman, right? So possibly what he's done is natural, is what I'm trying to say. I think we're gonna leave it at that. There's a whole hell of a lot more video there, but we'll save that for a part 2. If you got some value from this, if you find it interesting learning about what Hollywood actors do, what they don't do, if they're natural, if they're not natural, feel free to subscribe. I tend to analyze celebrity workouts, influencer workouts, and give you a little bit of knowledge if I can. That being said, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one.